Today I am going to teach you the chapter An Angel in Disguise. Welcome to my class. At first I will tell you the name of the author who has written this. It is written by T.S. Arthur. Who was T.S. Arthur? He was a popular 19th century American writer. His stories, written with compassion and sensitivity, articulate and spread values and ideas that were associated with respectable middle class life in America. So students, let's go to the story. Idleness, vice and intemperance had done their miserable work, and the dead mother lay cold and still amid her wretched children. So here where the story is opening, we can see that there is idleness and vice. Vice means wicked behavior, and intemperance had done their miserable work. So what was that miserable work? The dead mother was lying cold. The mother of some children has died, and her body is lying cold. And still amid her wretched children, and her children are in very poor condition because there was no more guardian left to look after them. She had fallen upon the threshold of her own. Threshold means just on the doorway, at the bottom of doorway. Threshold of her own door in a drunken fit, and died in the presence of her frightened little ones. So what the little ones? Little ones are referred to her children. So their mother have died and her body was lying on the doorway. Death touches the spring of our common humanity. This woman had been despised, scoffed at, and angrily denounced by nearly every man, woman, and children in the village. So this lady who has died, she was disliked. Despised means disliked. Scoffed means mocked. And angrily denounced means criticized by all her neighbors, by all the man, woman, and children that were living surrounding in the village. They all criticized this lady. But now, as the fact of her death was passed from lip to lip, and now the rumors, the message, the news of her death has passed from one person to another. Lip to lip means one person to another in subdued tones. Subdued tones means in depressed tones. Pity took the place of anger. Now, the anger of the people is replaced by pity. So, as the lady has died now the people who used to mocked at her first and criticized her first, now they are showing pity and sympathy for her and her family. And sorrow of denunciation. Denunciation means sadness. Neighbors went hastily to the old tumble down. Tumble down means dilapidated heart in which she had secured little more than a place of shelter from summer heats and winter cold. So the heart which she was living with her children was a broken one and not a proper one, and just she was taking the shelter over there from the summer heats and winter cold. It was not a proper house. Some with grave clothes for a decent interment. Interment means covering of the body. And some with food for the half-starving children, 3 in number. So she was having 3 children, and the way she led her life was a very wretched one. She was not having proper clothes and not having proper food to give to her children. Of this, John, the eldest, a boy of 12, was a stout lad. Stout means little bit fat. So who was the elder son? His name was John, and he was a boy of 12 years of age, and he was a little bit fat. He was able to learn his living with any farmer, and he has got a job. He was working with a farmer and can earn his living on his own. And who was Kate? Kate was the middle one, whose age was between 10 and 11. She was a bright, active girl, out of whom something clever might be made if in good hands. So she was a clever girl, she was an intelligent girl, and if groomed properly, some clever things can be expected from this girl. But poor little Maggie, the youngest one was the most poor. Why? Because he was hopelessly diseased. She was suffering from a typical disease. 2 years before, a fall from a window had injured her spine, and she had not been able to leave her bed since except when lifted in the arms of her mother. So she had an accident 2 years before, and she fell from a window which had badly injured her spine, and for that reason she can't able to move out, or she can't able to walk on her own, and she always had to lie on the bed and had to take the help of her mother to do her regular work. What is to be done with the children? That was the chief question now. So the neighbors are now in very much big problem because they are the small children and there is no guardian over there to look after them. Their only mother had died. So now they are thinking what will happen to these little children? Who will take care of them? The dead mother would go underground, that means she will be buried and be forever beyond all care or concern of the villagers. But the children must not be left to starve. So, what will happen to these children? Who will provide them food? Will they remain starved? Is it possible? It is not. After considering the matter and talking it over with his wife, Farmer Jones said that he would take John and do well with him. So, as John was walking with this farmer, so this farmer gave his view after consulting with his wife that John is already walking with me, so I am taking the responsibility of this boy and he will be staying with me. Now that his mother was out of the way and Mrs. Ellis, who had been looking out for a bound girl, concluded that it would be charitable in her to make choice of Katy, even though she was too young to be of much use for several years. And what about the middle one? Mrs. Ellis, one of the neighbor, she said that she is a good girl, she is a clever girl, so I can take her and I can choose her and I will be taking responsibility of this girl. I could do much better, I know, said Mrs. Ellis, but as no one seems inclined to take her, I must act from a sense of duty, expect to have trouble with the child, for she is an undisciplined thing, used to having her own way. Mrs. Ellis is saying, as nobody is taking the responsibility, so I am there to take the care of this girl. But no one said, I will take Maggie. So the elder one and the younger one, they got their way. They found out the solution. They have got some guardian to look after them. But what will happen to the youngest one? Because she is a bedridden child, she can't do anything of her own. So nobody is expecting to take her. Nobody is wishing to take her. Pitying glances were cast on her. Van means pale look and vested from and thoughts were troubled on her account. So all are looking at her pity face with a pity look. What will happen to her? But nobody is coming ahead to take care of this girl. Mothers brought cast off garments and removing her soiled and ragged clothes, dressed her in clean attire. Attire means dress. So some of the neighboring mothers, they brought discarded garments. Cast off means discarded, which was already used by someone, and removed her dirty, ragged means tattered clothes and dressed her in clean dress. The sad eyes and patient face of the little one touched many hearts and even knocked at them for entrance, but none opened to take her in who wanted a bedridden child. So this little girl with her sad eyes and patient face, she was very much helpless and looking helplessly to all the people and can't say anybody to take her because she also knew very well that she is good for nothing and she can't do anything on her own. So who will take care of this bedridden child? Take her to the poorhouse, said a rough man, of whom the question, what is to be done with Maggie, was asked. So someone said, go and give her to poorhouse. Poorhouse means orphanage, said a rough man. A man with a rough voice said this. And what is to be done with Maggie? Otherwise, what will do with this girl? Nobody is going to be bothered with her. Nobody will be agreeing to take care of this girl. Nobody will be inclined to take care of this girl. The poorhouse is a sad place for a sick and helpless child, answered one. Then one among them said, will it be good to give her to a poorhouse because already it's a sad place for a sick and helpless child? Will that child be happy over there? For your child or mine, said the other, lightly speaking, but for this brat. That means a child typically in a unstable condition, prove, blaze change, she will be kept clean, have healthy food and be decorated, which is more than can be said of her past condition. Then one of them said, at least she will get proper food and dress and clothing over there and it will be better than the present situation which she is undergoing now. So students, today I will teach here up till this. I am finishing my explanation up till this. In the next class again I will be coming to you and I will finish the chapter. Hope you all enjoyed my teaching and very much happy to impart you this lesson. Thank you.